Equip cards are the least used types of spell cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Due to their lackluster effects compared to the strength of modern cards. However, in Classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Where the game is a lot slower, equip cards see some usage. And for this video, Classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just the time period before Synchro monsters came out. Starting off our list at number 10 is Big Bang Shot. This equip spell came out back in 2003 and was commonly found in a lot of structure decks up to the late 2000s. This was because Big Bang Shot is a very splashable equip card. Simply, the equip spell gives the equipped monster a 400 attack boost as well as piercing damage, meaning that if you attack a defense position monster, you deal damage to your opponent equal to the difference between your monster's attack and their defense points. However, the only downside other than being an equipped spell is that when Big Bang Shot leaves the field, you banish the equipped monster. Big Bang Shot, despite its seemingly mediocre effect, has some great use in Classic Yu-Gi-Oh! With high beat stick monsters and the battle phase being significantly more important in the current format, Big Bang Shot serves as a simple but effective wall breaking tool. A good tool if your opponent stays on a defensive wall like Spirit Reaper. Throw in a Big Bang Shot into your boss monster and beat through your opponent's defense position monsters, or just deal damage to the battle immune monsters. A common strategy with Big Bang Shot is using it in tandem with Asura Priest, in an OTK strategy that revolves around abusing its multiple attack effect. See, Asura Priest has the effect where it can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. Combo this with some Ojama tokens that are summoned to your opponent's side of the field through Ojama Trio, and a high attack point cards like Mage Power and Big Bang Shot, and you've got yourself an OTK. However, Big Bang Shot isn't widely used for two main reasons in Classic Yu-Gi-Oh! The main reason is that if Big Bang Shot leaves the field, the equipped monster gets banished instead. And unlike modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, there aren't as many tools to bring back banished monsters. So if you have your big monster equipped with Big Bang Shot and your opponent simply throws out a spell trap removal, then say goodbye to your boss monster. However, this can be used offensively as well. You can equip Big Bang Shot to your opponent's monster and then use any spell or trap removal to banish that monster. The other reason why it's not used much is that piercing damage isn't game changing. Although, as nice as the 400 bonus attack points and piercing damage are for the additional damage that it provides, it's far outclassed by the other equipped spells on this list. However, despite the downsides, Big Bang Shot fulfills a niche that few cards of the Classic era do, and that's why it's at number 10. And at number 9 on this list, we have Horn of the Unicorn. This equip spell provides the equipped monster with a sizable 700 bonus to attack and defense points, as well as the effect that if Horn of the Unicorn is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can return it to the top of your deck. Horn of the Unicorn was one of the earliest equipped cards, coming out more than 20 years ago in 2002's Spell Ruler release, and saw countless appearances in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime early on. Its first debut was in episode 4 in one of the earliest duels of the series. It's even seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds briefly as Luna uses it in her duel. Regardless, Horn of the Unicorn can provide some pretty good bonuses to both attack and defense, which is pretty rare for equipped cards in general, as surprisingly, very few of them actually increase the defense of a monster. Not to take away from its main appeal, that being its effect to return to the top of the deck when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, which allows for more or less a constant 700 attack and defense point boost. However, this effect is Horn of the Unicorn's downfall, as it takes your draw up. So if it keeps getting destroyed, then you're locked into drawing it over and over, which at times can be detrimental, which is why it's only number 9 on our list. But again, the versatility and renewability for the Unicorn still puts it on the list for Classic Yu-Gi-Oh! And at number 8, we have Rod of Silence KS. This equip spell has two effects, just like our last entry. First is the equipped monster gains 500 defense points. The other effect is why this card is used, in that all other spell effects that target the equipped monster are negated and destroyed. So essentially, protection against the second most common card in the game. The defense point gain is pretty irrelevant, as the main use of KS is for its spell negation. Spell cards that target your opponent's monsters are quite common in Classic Yu-Gi-Oh!, with cards like Book of Moon or Enemy Controller as common cards in decks across the format. Not to mention, KS negates all cards on this list as well, in that equipped cards constantly target the monster. So if your opponent uses a Snatch Steal or an Ekibyo Drakmor to target your monster with KS when it's equipped, that's not going to resolve. Constant spell card negation is quite the rare fact, let alone for the worst type of spell card in the game. Some fun lore with the Rod of Silence in that it's part of a group called the Guardian Weapons. This is a group of 8 monsters that all have a signature weapon, that being the Guardian Weapons, which are Butterfly Dagger Elma with Guardian Elma, Gravity Axe Garl with Guardian Garl, Twin Swords of Flashing Light Trice with Guardian Trice, Wicked Breaking Flameberg Bow with Guardian Glamberg, Shooting Star Bowl Seal with Guardian Seal, Rod of Silence KS with Guardian KS, Celestial Star Iatos with Guardian Iatos, and Reaper Scythe Death Scythe with Guardian Dread Scythe. Each of the Guardians have strong stats, but require the equip spell to already be on the field to summon them. However, while they are both on the field, both the equip card and the monster can do some damage. For example, there's the Celestial Sword Yatos and Guardian Yatos. The Celestial Sword has the effect that the equip monster gains 500 attack, and when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target a Guardian Yatos to gain 500 attack for each banished monster. While Guardian Yatos, once on the field, can send an equipped spell card to the graveyard to target 3 monsters in your opponent's graveyard and banish them, and it gains 500 attack per banished monster. So the combination of the two can give Yatos a pretty sizable attack point gain on top of its already 2500 attack. However, the effect typically overlaps with KS's effect as the Guardian is unaffected by spell card effects and can't be targeted for attacks. Unfortunately, for the equip card, it doesn't protect itself just like the monster. So, like most equipped spells, it's quite vulnerable to spell and trap destruction. Regardless, in the slow-paced play of early Yu-Gi-Oh!, Rod of Silence has some amazing value for negating a wide variety of spell cards. And at number 7, we have Megamorph. This equip spell is the epitome of a double-edged sword. Megamorph's effect is that while your life points are lower than your opponent's, the equipped monster's attack is double. However, if your life points are higher, then the equipped monster's attack becomes halved. Megamorph theoretically has the highest attack point gain out of all the equipped spells, because if you equip it to a Blue Eyes White Dragon, or any other large beat stick, their attack is doubled. So, sticking with our Blue Eyes example, it gains 3000 attack points, which can easily swing games while you're behind. But that's the issue. You have to be behind when it comes to Megamorph, as that's only when you get the good effect. Once the Blue Eyes beats over a weaker blocker in the way and your opponent's life points fall below, then your Blue Eyes White Dragon is looking more like a Blackland Fire Dragon. But Megamorph has found some fun strategies to abuse its effect. Specifically with Cyberstein, which is a level 2 monster that has the cost to pay 5000 life points to cheat out a fusion monster from your extra deck. The OTK involved using Cyberstein's effect to bring out Master of Oz, which has a staggering 4200 attack points. Then, by equipping with Megamorph, you can pretty easily beat through any monster in your way. And at number 6, we have the Axe of Despair. This equip spell not only adds an extra 1000 attack points, but also has the effect that when it's sent from the field to the grave, you can tribute a monster to place the axe on top of your deck. So essentially, Axe of Despair is a better, stronger version of the previously mentioned Horn of the Unicorn. Not only does Axe of Despair provide a better attack boost than the Horn, but also gives the player the choice to bring the Axe of Despair back from the grave once it's destroyed. Although the cost is significantly resource heavy compared to Horn of the Unicorn, but at least it doesn't force you into using it. Unlike Horn of the Unicorn, the main reason why Axe of Despair is used is just for the 1000 attack points that it gives while equipped. Axe of Despair is one of the most generic equipped spells that provides one of the highest attack points boosts in the Classic Yugioh, outside of a couple of other options. It's commonly seen in beatdown or OTK decks like Benkei OTK, which is a deck that revolves around equipping armed Samurai Benkei with a bunch of equip cards and attacking multiple times, as the monster effect allows it to attack a number of times equal to the amount of equip cards equipped to it plus 1. Speaking of equipped spell cards that provide bigger boosts than Axe of Despair, next we have United We Stand. This equip spell has a pretty simple effect, that being the equipped monster gains 800 attack and defense points for each monster you control. Despite how simple United We Stand is, it's a common staple in all decks. The card flat out provides an 800 attack boost and quickly ramps up to 1600, 2400, 3200, and 4000 when you have a monster in each monster zone. However, getting a monster in every monster zone to fully capitalize on the equip card might prove a bit of a challenge in some cases. However, it's not impossible. To prevent the abuse of United We Stand, it was limited to 1 copy for pretty much its entire run in Classic Yugioh. There are some strategies that could easily get bodies on board and multiple copies of United We Stand, which could be pretty problematic in that slower format. Regardless, United We Stand provides a ton of battle damage for little to no cost. And most times, the 800 attack boost was all you needed for your equipped spells to beat over big monsters. When United We Stand was released back in 2003, it was only available as an ultra rare, and this followed for the next 3 sets that it was featured in: Labyrinth of Nightmare, Dark Beginnings 1, and Retro Pack 2. So United We Stand was quite the rare find for its time. Next up is the most used equipped spell for attack points, Mage Power. Similar to United We Stand, Mage Power was essentially the same type of card, but rather than gaining bonuses for monsters on the field, Mage Power granted 500 attack and defense for each spell and trap card you controlled instead. This essentially is just an upgraded version of United We Stand, as it's far easier to fill your back row with spells and traps compared to monsters. Although the bonus attack points are 300 less each, the ease of using spells and traps compared to monsters is significantly easier to ramp up the attack points. With a card in each spell and trap card zone, including a field spell, a monster can gain up to 3000 attack from 1 United We Stand. The combination of the ease of use and how common it was to build a strong back row makes Mage Power one of the most commonly used equip spells that gives attack points in Classic Yugioh. It was limited to one copy, just like its brother United We Stand, for the same reason. However, the next couple of cards on our list are equally abusable and even outright banned in some cases. And at number 3, we have the King of Infinite Loops, Butterfly Dagger Elma. This equip card provides the equipped monster with 300 attack points, but has the effect that when the card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, Butterfly Dagger Elma returns to the hand. Coincidentally, Butterfly Dagger Elma is also part of the Guardian cards that we mentioned previously on this list with Rod of Silence KS'd. So it's pretty safe to assume Butterfly Dagger Elma is banned and won't see the light of day ever again, unless Konami changes the effect entirely. Due to Elma's effects not having any limitations, Elma has been used for quite a number of broken infinite loops. The most common example is Royal Magical Library, which has the effect that each time a spell card is activated, you can draw one card. So if Elma was constantly destroyed by a card like Gearfree the Iron Knight, which has the effect that if a equipped spell is equipped to it, you destroy the equipped spell, so just that creates a simple infinite loop which allows you to draw through your entire deck or combo off infinitely with cards that do burn damage like Fire Princess and Morale Boost. And at number 2, we have Premature Burial. This is essentially called the Haunted, but as an equip spell, which is infinitely better. By that I mean its effect allows you to pay 800 life points to target one monster in your graveyard, and then special summon it in attack position. Once Premature Burial is destroyed, then you destroy that special summon monster. Like the previous 2 entries as well, Premature Burial is also on the limited list at 1 copy in Classic Yugioh. This is because Monster Reborn S cards are either banned or limited in Classic Yugioh. Monster Reborn is usually banned, and Call the Haunted is also limited to 1 copy. The distinction between the two is that once the spell trap card leaves the field, that special summon monster also says goodbye, unlike Monster Reborn. Regardless, Premature Burial is an insanely strong card for the Classic era, where special summoning monsters from your graveyard is just incredibly powerful. Your boss monster or key combo piece got destroyed? Well, bring it back by paying a low cost of 800 life points, no conditions, no hassle, and you could even bounce it back to your hand with Giant Trunade to do it over again. Last but not least is Snatch Steal, which is arguably the best equipped spell card in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably because it doesn't even do what the typical equipped cards do. It's an offensive equipped card that targets a monster your opponent control and lets you take control of it, all for the low cost of giving your opponent 1000 life points during each of their standby phases. Snatch Steal turns games around. There is so much utility in stealing your opponent's monster, from using it as a tribute for one of your monsters, using it as a cost for a card, and of course using it as your own to just attack your opponent, which is why Snatch Steal is used in almost every single Classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck because of how it can turn a game around and its versatility. Just like in the current modern format, Snatch Steal is limited to 1, but for a time, Snatch Steal even spent time on the ban list, and for a time I mean for a really long time. Even in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! With as many negates and protection effects out there, Snatch Steal is still on the limited list, because even still in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that take control of your opponent's monsters have heavy limitations on them. But we are talking about Classic Yugioh here, where the game is a lot slower than modern, and there are very few, if no, negates for a card like Snatch Steal, which only strengthens how good the card is, which is why Snatch Steal is hands down one of the best equipped spells in Classic Yugioh.